Hello family, welcome back to this channel. Today we are going to talk about the myths and misconceptions of deafness. These misconceptions are so many, so I have decided to put them into two groups. So I'll do this video and then later on do another video to finish up the misconceptions that I have. So I have written them here. I'm sure you can't see because the light is too much, but I'll be reading from this book and explaining where the explanation will be needed. The first misconception that I'll be tackling is deaf people cannot drive. So, deaf people can drive, they sure can. They just need to be more cautious of their surroundings, and driving is all about visuals. So, a deaf person can really drive, just that they won't hear the environmental noises or how other vehicles are hooting or making noises, but deaf people feel vibrations. So they can drive as long as they are using their mirrors well, they can drive very well to where they are going. So when someone says that deaf people cannot drive, that is just a misconception and it is not. The second one is sign language is one universal language. So sign language is just a language like any other spoken language. So each country has one or more sign language, and you may be surprised that there are about 130 different ones. So sign language, just like any other language, has different languages in it. As we are saying, sign language is not just one language for all the deaf people. Sign language is different according to countries, as in when we consider countries, countries have their own sign languages. And in one country, let me say Kenya, you can find that sign language in Nairobi is completely different with the sign language that people use in Western, or let me say in Kisumu. So, and you can also find that there are people in the same county, but they have very different sign languages. So, people create their own signs. For example, where I was teaching, Mumias Primary School for the Deaf, there is St. Angela's. The only thing that makes the difference between the primary school and the high school is a fence. But when you have some signs in the primary school and you go sign in the high school, which is St. Angela, they won't understand because that is not the sign that they are using when they are communicating. So sign language is totally different from one place to another. You can find some signs are the same and others are different, considering that people make their own signs which favor them. The third misconception is that deaf people are good lip readers. So what is lip reading? Lip reading is the aspect of a deaf person or any other person being able to conceive meaning or understand what someone is saying by just looking at the lip movement. So when a deaf person looks at a person when talking, then looks at the lips and understands or tries to understand what the person is talking, then that is lip reading. So lip reading is difficult and not always accurate. Depending on how long someone has had hearing aids or how well they can hear, some people lip read better than others. Just like when we are talking our languages, there are some people who are born in the villages and they know how to talk the language very well. And there are others who are from the same community, but they were not brought up talking that language or communicating in that language, so they cannot communicate well as compared to the people who lived in the village. Yeah. So this is why deaf people appreciate gestures, clues, or signs to indicate the subject. If it also doesn't it also doesn't help lip reading if people have accent, beards, or mustache. So people who lip read concentrate on the lips. But if someone has a mustache, then they might not understand what you're saying. Then if you have beards, these beards that come all over the mouth, they can bring confusion. So the deaf people cannot understand. Yeah, so lip reading is not for all the deaf. Some deaf people can lip read very well, while others struggle lip reading. That's why when we teachers are told how to encounter or how to teach the deaf, we are told to use signs, we use gestures, we use facial expressions, and never forget to talk, because they will follow the lip movement. Another misconception is hearing loss only affect the older generation. I really can't tell why people believe this. Maybe it's because they have just encountered their grandparents or old people in their family who are deaf, but not the young ones. So this is a myth. Some people are born with hearing loss, others lose their hearing later on in life. Then hearing just affects any person at any age. So there are people who are born deaf, there are people who are born hearing, then as they grow, something happens and they become deaf. And there are people who get old and then become deaf. So hearing is not only for the older generation, but not hearing, but hearing loss. Hearing loss is not only for the older generation, but for all ages. Number 5 misconception is deaf people only listen to someone when they feel like it. This is not true. Due to concentration fatigue, people with hearing loss might not always have the energy to lip read or focus on their hearing, especially if there is background noise. So the deaf are always concentrating and focusing on a person who's talking so that they can lip read, and facial expression, they read the facial expression and see the body movement so that they can get the meaning of whatever the person is saying. So they are always using their eyes, so they get tired. It's not that there are times that they decide not to listen to a person, just that they get tired. The same way when you talk, there are times that you talk and just get tired of talking. You just want to keep quiet, you just want to be silent, you just want to go to a place where there is no noise, there is nothing, you just want to sleep. Yes, they always feel that too. So when they are tired, they might not be able to focus on you or be able to lip read or concentrate that much. So this is just a misconception and not true. Number 6, hearing aids instantly make you hear. There are people who believe that when a deaf person puts on the hearing aid, then they are just able to hear instantly. It's like a miracle. Oh, that's not true. Unlike glasses that can instantly correct your sight, people with hearing loss can't just pop in hearing aids and instantly hear. Depending on the level of someone's hearing loss, hearing aids vary on power and often need some fine-tuning by the audiologist or hearing care professional to create the best listening feature in each user's technology. So The hearing aids are not to make a deaf person to hear, but they help. Hearing aids help a person to be able to hear or feel the environmental sounds. So a person might not hear exactly what you're saying, but may hear the sounds that you're making. And that depends on the severity of the hearing loss. Not all people use hearing aids, because there are some people who don't hear at all, like they are profoundly deaf. If they are profoundly deaf, then when you put on the hearing aids, they won't really help that person. Another point or another misconception is deafness is hereditary. Deafness is not always hereditary. It can be, to some, others might be deaf because of different things. So a person might be deaf because of an accident. They might be involved in an accident that will destroy their hearing. And other people might be having diseases as they grow up. So a disease like a disease like meningitis might also cause deafness. So deafness is not hereditary. There are some parents who are deaf, both of them are deaf, but they give birth to a child who is hearing. Or one parent might be deaf and another one hearing, and they give birth to a baby who is hearing. So it is not always hereditary. Another misconception is that if you talk louder, deaf people hear. I used to think the same too, but it is not true. It is not. A question: have you ever heard anybody talk into a broken microphone? Have you? It would sound like something is just making noise in front of you. They are talking, yes, but the microphone is making what they are talking noise. So no matter how loud you talk, if a person has severe hearing loss, they won't understand you. If you talk louder, it will just sound like noise. If a person is deaf, they are deaf. If you really want to talk to them, please make sure that you can know some sign language. Sign language is not hard. Or you can write to them if they can write back or they can read. Okay? The other misconception is hearing loss can be repaired by medical or medicine or surgery. Hearing loss can be repaired by medicine or surgery. Currently, there is no cure for hearing loss. For some people with severe hearing loss, a cochlear implant surgery may help them hear better. They are not correcting the hearing. Like when a person who's deaf goes for a cochlear implant, it doesn't mean that after the cochlear implant they will hear everything like any other person who was born hearing. Yeah. But maybe in future there will be a discovery that will help the people who are deaf to hear. But for now, there is no medicine or no surgery that can make a person who is deaf to start hearing. So this was the first part of the misconceptions of deafness. If you have any other misconception that you know, or any other thing that you know about the deaf and you want me to confirm if it is a misconception or true, please leave it in the comment section. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. and share it to your friends and family so that they know which things are misconceptions and which are true from this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in part 2 of this video. Bye!